Hi guys, today I'm going to be taking you through speech writing, specifically persuasive speech writing, while you're at home so you can still get the lessons that you'll be receiving in school. So what I want to start off with is we're going to kind of discuss what is writing with purpose. So with speeches, it's going to be a formal talk, okay? So speech is formal. You need to remember that when you're writing it, because you don't want to come across as too informal, because that will potentially impact on your marks. Your speech is always going to have a purpose. Your purpose for this is really key, because you need to target your audience and you need to interest your audience. So you need to pay really specific attention to the question of who your target audience is, because if you're talking to your peers, you can slip in some more of that informal slang within your speech structure. However, if you're talking to adults, you're going to want to maintain that formal language all the way through consistently, and you might even want to up it if the speech is asking you to talk to someone, say like a local counsellor or potentially your bosses in the future. You really want to target your speech really carefully, okay? So in your speech, there are specific things that you want to try and do. So you're going to want to try and either persuade someone to do something. If you're going to persuade, you might want to be thinking about a lot of emotive language, okay? You want to convince them to your point of view. You'll throw in some facts there, so opinions. Opinions are really important in persuasive language, because it's not just the fact, it's that fact with how someone's interpreted it and how they've taken it on. You're also going to want to think about you're persuading, you're informing someone. Sorry, I've got that there. You're going to persuade, you might be wanting to inform. So informing someone, that's facts, statistics. You're going to want to throw all those out. You're going to make it crisp and clean so the person can really understand what you're saying. You can advise someone, and that's you trying to help them. You're not trying to persuade them to do something, because it's their choice whether they take your advice or not, okay? It can be to entertain somebody, in which case you're going to want to use a lot of humour in there. You might slip in a few slang words, a few colloquial phrases to really get that humour going. And finally, you might want to be a bit argumentative, okay? That is facts again. Emotive language in there. A lot of these are always going to use your DeForest techniques. So that's your, I'm not going to say them all, because I want you to do them in a second. A lot of direct address. You want to catch that person's attention. So what I want you to do very quickly as a task is write out on a piece of paper just that DeForest, okay? And you can pause it now, or else I'm just going to wait a few seconds. I want you to write down what each of these stand for, okay? So off you go. Okay, hopefully you paused that, because I did not give you a lot of time there. I've got D for the direct address, okay? You're talking to them, it's you. You're going to do this. We're going to join together. Really, all that inclusive language in there. Make them feel part of what you're saying, okay? We've got alliteration. Really get those crisp sounds out, that repetitive sound in your word. That can be really helpful for argument, because it makes it right on point. You can use it to persuade, because it makes help stick in someone's head, same as inform. Facts, that's going to be key through all of these. Always throw in some facts. In your exam, you're going to be like, well, I'm not an expert in this topic. You can make them up, have some license with it, as long as they sound believable. Put them in, because it will help strengthen your speech and what you're saying. Going with facts, you want those opinions in there, how people think about it. With a lot of these, like persuading, informing, advising an argument, you want to kind of get 2 points of view across, but what you don't want to do in your response is have a 50-50 split. You want to show both sides of an argument, or both sides of like how you can persuade or advise someone to do something, but you need to lean more heavily towards what you want them to do, okay? Always keep in mind, keep your point the main one, and everything else is like padding around the edges, okay? We now have our rhetorical question. We all know I love a good rhetorical question. It really gets your audience thinking, it engages them in the topic. And a little bit of repetition, okay? And this isn't you repeating the same word willy-nilly all the way through your response. It has to be like a key, powerful phrase, or like your key word to help bring them back to what your speech is really about. No point in repeating just like kind of a lazy word, like the word big, or a really like low-level adjective. I really want you to push yourself with your vocabulary, okay? E is our emotive language. And that is language that makes us feel something, so you can incorporate in there your metaphors, your similes, dynamic verbs, your powerful nouns and adjectives in there to really get that sense of emotion from your audience, okay? That is what this is. It's not just one kind of thin bit to slap on. This, I want to see this all the way through your response so it comes across as quite powerful and deep, okay? So this is push your vocabulary, vary that vocabulary, change the phrases you're using, okay? Make sure it sounds powerful. S, this links some of our facts, is statistics. Okay? Smatter those in. Again, if you don't know it, give an educated guess. Okay? Give a wee guesstimate for me. As long as it's believable, that will work for you, because the examiner is not expecting you to be an expert in a topic. They're expecting you to use the techniques for your advantage, okay? So try and think what will be a believable statistic. So three-quarters of students feel that they get too much homework. I don't know if that's the correct statistic, but it sounds like it could be accurate. So try and include those kind of things into your responses. And last, we have our triplet. You might know it as a rule of 3 or a triad. As long as we know what it is, those 3 either powerful words or phrases, one after the other, to give it a real punch and that effect in there, okay? I'm just going to put it down as a triplet to save me time. So when you're thinking about your planning of your response, you really need to think how you're going to incorporate all these into your response, and then you need to think about how you're going to structure it. Structuring your response is really important, and that's something I've said to you all a lot in class. When you're thinking about structure, you really need to think on how long those paragraphs are going to be, because if you keep having massive paragraphs that are like half a page long, it's going to get boring. You need to mix it up. You need to have maybe an isolated paragraph, which is just one sentence, maybe one word, maybe a 2-3 line paragraph, okay? I don't mean line, I mean start to end of a sentence, start to end of a sentence, okay? So you need to vary those paragraph lengths, okay? Because that will keep you interested in your speech and your listener. On top of the paragraph lengths, okay, you need to think about your sentences. Okay, we've got our short sentence, our simple sentence, our compound, which is using our connectors in the middle there, and our complex sentence, which is your main part of the sentence with extra detail, and that is where you can bring in some emotive language. Okay, you can add in a fact or an opinion on top of what you've just said, okay? Introduce it with maybe a semicolon, okay, or a comma at the end of your sentence, depending on how long your add-on section is going to be, okay? So, there's an R in there, so my handwriting getting better than me again. Vary sentence lengths, okay? That is really important all the way through your response. I don't want short sentence after short sentence, or just one paragraph, which is one sentence from top to the end, because that is not good practice, okay? You really want to reread your work after you've done it to make sure you not only varied your paragraphs, but you've varied those sentence lengths. And if you think, I should have added a paragraph in here, we want those 2 forward dashes. So you're telling your marker, you're taking it upon yourself to tell them, you want another paragraph in there, okay? What we then need to look at is how how we're going to present our information, and you need to know, or you need to have an idea of what you're going to say before you actually get into it. So I thought we could probably split it up into, was it, yes, 6 sections, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for our plan. So our first one is our opening, okay? In our opening, we need to acknowledge the audience, okay? And this will vary depending on who your audience is, okay? So if it's your friends, family, people you know or familiar with, you might bring it down a peg. Hi guys and girls, how you doing folks? It is lovely to see you all here tonight, okay? You can bring down that very formal tone to something a bit more informal while keeping that structure there. If it's local governors, if it's adults you don't know, good evening ladies and gentlemen, it is lovely to see you all here tonight, okay? Acknowledge them, because it's a speech. Nobody starts a speech by walking up and just starting bang in. I'm here to talk to you tonight about blah blah blah. Acknowledge that audience, okay? Next thing you want to be thinking about is giving that overview, okay? Why are you giving a speech? What is the point of it? So you need to really closely read the topic, that question that you've been given, and you want to incorporate that into this section. So what are you talking about? Why are you talking about it? Why should they listen? Okay? So, why? We need to make that differentiation here. What? Why are you talking about it? Why should they listen? Okay? Really important. Then we've got the next 3 sections are going to be your key points, okay? These are not necessarily paragraphs because you might want to split those key points into more than one, okay? So these are 5 sections, but you can split more paragraphs off within these, okay? So key point 1 is the first point that you've outlined in your overview. You're going to go into it in detail. You might, in this section, want to give them the facts, give them statistics, give them the science behind what you're talking about, okay? So we're going to go facts / statistics. Always remember, at the end of your paragraphs, you want to link them back to your point of view. Don't just end it like it ends a bit of a science essay. Link your opinion in there, because that is important. You're giving a speech. It could be to persuade, to argue, to inform, to advise, to entertain. You always want to get your opinion in there, okay? Key point 2 is our next section, okay? This bit, we might want to start going into opinions, okay? Why is it necessary? Bring your next key point in. While I'm saying have a focus on some of your force techniques, use the other ones. So this one you can still use opinions, you can still use rhetorical questions, and this one you can still use facts and statistics, okay? But try not to overuse one all the way through. Just try and pepper them in there and make sure it doesn't seem forced. And that just might mean you read them back through your response and you add in bits in or you scratch them bits out, okay? Put that in there. Key point 3. Okay, this is your last and final point before the end of your speech, okay? So this is your last reason. This point, speech could be going on about 3-4 minutes. If it's being spoken out loud, it needs to be memorable, okay? So you want to pack in those mother language in there. Okay, some alliteration, keep them on their toes, yeah? So that can be adding in for rhetorical questions because they are quite powerful, especially in getting your audience to think. So one audience could add like a triplet maybe in here. And I did say alliteration. To really make sure you're getting these sections all the way through your speech. Now this final bit is our ending, okay? Triplet it, yeah? Really powerful. Boom, boom, boom. Get that in there. It's the end of your speech. Make them remember it, okay? You don't want to just have a little line down and be like, right, thanks for listening, guys. I will see you later. No, make sure it's powerful, okay? Get a triplet in there. Maybe another rhetorical question, a really powerful ending statement, okay? Once you've done your overview, you might want an isolated sentence right at the very end to really leave that meaning of the speech in their heads. Because as I said, these are not paragraphs, these are points. They can all be split up. So at your ending, it could be, my final message for you is, ... Then you add in that. It could be, you hold our fragile future in your hands. Don't break it. Okay? Rhetorical question-wise, do we really have any other choice? Depending on the topic, change those about. Just make sure it's memorable, okay? You don't want something that's just going to go over their heads because they've already listened to the whole speech, and let's be honest, the speeches aren't jazzy. They're not like some isolated sentences, some short sentences to really like kickstart their brains back in there. Now go and shut off, okay? So then these paragraph sentence lengths. Other things you can add in is your explanation points, okay? That is, you need to add cues in for the speaker, because just think, if you're writing it in an exam, the examiner's not reading out to someone, and if the examiner was reading it out to someone, he needs cues, okay? So when does he increase his pitch? When does that exclamation point come in? What's going to be your really important phrases, okay? So exclamation point. Is there any point in that speech where the reader has to slow down, maybe think about what's happening at the end of a sentence, adding that ellipses to really slow that narrative down, okay? These are all things I want you to think about, because you're writing the speech, but you're not necessarily the one speaking it. So you need to give the structural cues to the person reading it, okay? So if you look over here, this is in the work pack I sent out to you. It's in section 2, I want to say page 48. The writing with purpose. This is the first question on that page, question 4. Example, one of your classmates has said, I think going to bed early is a waste of time. All the good television programs are on late at night. Write a speech in which you try to persuade your class it is important to get a full night's sleep. Now, some of you might be thinking, I like staying up late. I like watching TV shows late. It's not what the question is asking, okay? So although this is telling you your opinion, it's also telling you this has to be your main opinion in the response. So it is, you're writing to persuade, and it's important to get that full night's sleep. That is your point of view in this task, okay? So that's what you really need to think about during your planning, because it might not be your point of view, but remember what I said about those opinions. You need both in there, but you need to heavily rely on one more than the other, okay? So make sure it's not a 50-50 split. So when we're writing persuasive texts or speeches, some of the phrases you might want to use are, some believe that, therefore, in my opinion, is one. For this reason, ... I am sure that. So leading things that get people to listen to you, go, oh, they do have the right idea. You have to be really clever with how you phrase things, because you want to persuade them, okay? You're not informing them, you're not just telling them the facts. You need to persuade them to your point of view. You're not having a laugh with them. You're not just simply advising them to go to bed early, because let's be honest, who would listen anyway? and you're not having an argument with them. You're not saying, you need to go to bed, that's what you have to do, I can't believe you're not doing it. You're trying to persuade them, so you need to get them on your side. Okay? You have to use all that emotive language to really get them involved. Those opinions, your opinions, other people's opinions. Again, in your exam, you cannot just turn around to who's ever sat beside you and go like, wait, what's your opinion on this? You have to make it up, okay? Put a different narrative voice in it, get somebody else's opinions in there to help beef up that response, okay? So, obviously we're going to use our 6 points to plan it, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk you through how we can plan this response so we can write a speech up. So I'm going to break this down into 1. Okay, obviously our top is the opening, okay? This is when we acknowledge our audience, who are, if we look back at our question, it is your class, which means it's people around your own age, okay? So it is your peers, and you can start this in different ways, okay? We can either have quite a, well, like you reword the question, so we reword it, and that's when we kind of think about adding in maybe a bit of humour, okay? Because it's your peers, as I said before, you can kind of still keep that formal tone but add in a bit extra. I'm going to take 3 words. This is going to be the humour one. And you can start with something like, so, hi guys, one of you lot said to me that you think going to bed early is a waste of time. All the good television shows are on late at night. Like seriously, do you not have Netflix? Something like that. Get that humour in there, because remember, it's meant to be a speech. You have to think somebody's going to speak it. It's going to be said aloud. It's not just for reading. So you kind of need to think about, there is an audience that you're going to be firing these quips at, the jokes at, all this. There is somebody that's going to receive it, okay? So you add in some humour. You can also add a bit more serious tone to this one. Think about your teenagers. Obviously your bodies are developing, you're growing. It's really important you get those 8 hours sleep. So it could be, good evening everyone. I'm here tonight to talk to you about what one of our classmates said about going to bed early is a waste of time. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not, as we as teenagers, if we don't get those at least 8 hours sleep at night, we are more likely of having irritable mood swings, we're more likely to lose concentration, and we're more likely to reduce the quality of our immune system, which leaves us more susceptible to illness. Okay, so through a little triplet there, add a more serious tone if you want to start it out that way, or you can start out with that rhetorical question, okay? Good evening, guys. Heard some of you were watching TV late last night. Probably why you fell asleep this morning. Threw a bit of humour in there as well. 3, right. Good evening, everyone. What's our favourite TV shows? When would we watch them? Why would we watch them then? Because just think, not in this day and age, it's not like when I was younger, when you had what was on the television, and that's when you watched it. We now have Netflix, we now have BBC iPlayer, we now have ITV, the one where you can watch back in there. You don't have to watch those TV shows this late. What we are struggling with is our desire to have things now, right in that instant. So that is what you might want to angle your speech towards tackling, not having it here and now, that impulse, that no desire to wait. You kind of want to help talk them through spacing it out so they can maintain their work-life balance, because as teenagers you're still going to be at school, you're still going to be learning, and it makes it a lot harder because, as I said, if you're not getting enough sleep, your ability to concentrate is reduced. So if you're not fully engaging in your work, that will potentially have an impact. You could add in this on your qualifications, your future, how is that going to affect that work-life balance. So you need to think about all of these things in that speech, okay? So we then move on to our next point, which is our overview, okay? Lead on from that opening. It could be the same paragraph, it can be different paragraphs. You can split it up, or you can keep them together for this bit, because this is where you want to talk about going to bed late, okay? Talk to me about the science behind it, okay? We did touch upon it in that opening when I did the more serious ones, so you can expand on that, give a few facts and statistics, especially with the science bit. Then we move on to our starting key. No, that did not. That's an E there, and that's a Y. Key point 1. This is when we're going to want to think about how tiring school is. Okay? So let's think about schoolwork in this one. Think about how students deserve to kick back and relax. You might want to add in that argument against it. Okay, that different side of the argument, or how other people might try and persuade people that there is no issue in staying up late. Touch on that one. Schoolwork / relaxing. So I know I like to go home and watch the television, watch a few episodes. But discuss that idea of like the fact that you kick back, you're relaxing, you need that time, it's been stressful. Maybe think about how staying up that late is going to impact on this. Because you need to come back to the point that it's important to get a full night's sleep, okay? Always bring it back to your argument. Key point 2 is our next part of it. So we might want to move around with so you might want to move around with some more examples of where we can watch our TV shows, okay? So solutions. We're going to look at what modes for viewing do we have now. So that can be Sky Go, it can be BBC iPlayer, it can be Netflix, it can be Disney Plus. Okay, think about those. We don't have to watch everything right now. We can spread it out. Okay, that's what you want to be kind of getting that point across. Key point 3 is our last main point before we do our overview. Okay, so we're thinking about going to bed early is a waste of time. So we've already talked about our science, facts and statistics behind it. In this one, you're also going to go on work relaxing. In this bit, you want to really expand on those. Okay? So our overview, science, facts, statistics. We're going to come back and we're going to really think about why. Don't just give the statistics, how is it going to impact them? Okay? What is the point behind it? Why should they listen? Okay? That's a good one for this one. Why? Why should they listen to the science? What's the point behind it? Then we go into our point 6, which is our ending. Okay? So this is where we're going to briefly overview your points, potentially add a snappy triplet about everyone. Remember, you're really padding in that direct speech, you're talking directly to them. And at that end, remember, once we've done our overview, to summarise, we're going to want an isolated sentence to really kick that point home, okay? So, we have a look at this. This is how we really want to think about planning speeches, to really get those points in, to get a couple of key points across. And there's an example. When you do your speech writing task, you can use this question and you can work off the plan that we've done out together, or there is 2 other tasks on that sheet. You can challenge yourself to use this method and plan your own and complete it. Now if you email or send it in by the drivers, I will mark it, and if you want I can email you back your feedback rather than you wait until you come back in. Okay? Hope you're all staying safe and good luck.